after data showed it gave minimal protection against mild infection from one variant. This is now stoking fears of a much longer cat-and-mouse battle with the pathogen. The coronavirus has killed 2.3 million people and turned normal life upside down for billions. But new variants have raised fears that vaccines will need to be tweaked and people may have booster shots. Researchers from the University of Witwatersrand and the University of Oxford said in a peer-to-peer analysis that the AstraZeneca vaccine provided minimal protection against mild or moderate infection from the South African variant among young people.
For me, it's just a disappointment because the only thing that was gonna maybe just set us free, the vaccine.
The government acted prematurely in terms of buying the vaccine before they could have tested the vaccine. And I wonder whether the monies that they have been spent on the vaccine itself, the import vaccine from India, was really necessary, because now we don't know whether the government is money down the drain or not.
And in other parts of Africa, an alliance of Somali opposition parties have proposed the creation of a national council of lawmakers, opposition leaders and civil societies to govern the war-ravaged country after the president's term expired on Monday. The opposition alliance say they would reject any attempt to extend the term of President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed. They also added that an election schedule should hold soon and suggested the council could elect a transitional leader to govern until a new president can be chosen by lawmakers. Outside Africa, Haitian opposition parties have named a top judge as interim leader over the weekend, and it's the latest attempt to oust President Jovenel Moïse, whose term they say has expired. Judge Joseph Jean-Louis, aged 72, said he accepted the choice of the opposition and civil society to serve his country as interim president for the transition. Moïse has been governing without any checks on his power for the past year, and he says he remains president until February 7th, 2022. The opposition has, however, rejected his interpretation of the Constitution, and it has since led to protest over his continued stay in office. Police in Myanmar's capital have used water cannon on Monday against protesters who were demonstrating against a coup a week ago when the elected leader was detained. Police fired the water cannon in brief bursts against a group of the thousands of protesters who had gathered. Some protesters appeared to have been hurt when they were knocked to the ground by the force of the water. Police appeared to stop using the water cannons after protesters appealed to them, and some handed branches and flowers to the police as the demonstrations continued. The president of Haiti says an attempt to kill and overthrow him has been foiled amid a dispute over when his term ends. At least 23 people were arrested, including a top judge and a senior police officer. And police in Myanmar arrested protesters who were demonstrating. Let's move on now to business stories. The Central Bank of Nigeria has said cryptocurrencies promote illegal activities and raise risk in a statement on Sunday. This follows its recent reminder to deposit money banks to desist from transacting in and with entities dealing in cryptocurrencies. The CBN said the recent regulatory directive became necessary to protect the financial system and Nigerians from the risk of crypto asset transactions. It added that cryptocurrencies were largely speculative, anonymous and untraceable, adding that they were being used for money laundering, terrorism financing and other criminal activities. In entertainment, years on from their historic stint in the White House, Barack and Michelle Obama have unveiled details of 6 new Netflix projects. The projects are titled Firekeeper's Daughter, Great National Parks, Satellites, Tenzin, and The Young Wife. The news comes on the heels of the blockbuster success of Barack and Michelle's memoirs and their recent Spotify podcast deal. In sports news, Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton will chase a record 8th title with Mercedes this season after signing a new deal. Mercedes said the agreement included a joint commitment for greater diversity and inclusion. Hamilton is the sport's only black driver and its most successful racer. He has used his platform and profile to push for equal opportunities and to speak out against racial injustice. The 36-year-old added that he and Mercedes would be launching a joint foundation dedicated to diversity and inclusion in the motorsport. And that's the news updates at this time. For more stories, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And please do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. I am Annetta Felix. Many thanks for watching.
Sights like these have become commonplace around Lagos, Nigeria's commercial hub. Street beggars looking pitiful, others stretching their hands, calling for alms or scuttling for limited meals or gifts handed them by gracious passers-by. However, Lagos does not seem alone in this. Ibadan, an ancient city in Oyo, southwest Nigeria, isn't left out. The pace-setter state also has a teeming number of beggars, many of them immigrants from Niger and Chad. Halima is a 37-year-old mother of this kid. Daily, she heads for the streets to make a living off street begging.
Some people they give me 10 and some people they give me 20 now, 15 now. So the bar is for Yoruba where they sell rice.
She tells us that her street begging business pays off a lot in Nigeria.
Nigeria good. Nigeria they give us food, they give us clothes, they give us everything. Nigeria is fine, nothing in it. Nigeria is good. I don't stay in Nigeria 3 years.
Now back to Lagos at Jagunle precisely. A suburb dominated by low-income earning Nigerians is where we find Fatima, a 15-year-old who migrated from Bauchi and was introduced to a life of street begging by her auntie.
My mommy don't have money. The money where she don't have, where she give us to eat. She don't have money but put us for school. Why she come the begging?
She is not alone. Her 54-year-old mom had also taken to street begging for survival. She recounts how tales of green pastures had made her migrate from her home state of Bauchi. She tells us her experience.
Da yara bakwai kuma ba da kuɗi shine masababin na taho Lagos. Har ne wannan shekaru ina nan Lagos.
Well, for this mother and daughter, an intervention made all the difference.
Ba ni da jari ne. Ba jari. Shine yasa nake yi kuma wannan oga shine yazo shi yace in daina yin bara in kama sana'a in bayar yara na biyu makaranta na bashi yara na wa'annan guda biyu makaranta.
Currently, the begging system in Nigeria is structured, in a way that these beggars are most times being imported from the north, to beg, and there are those who they remit to.
A 2013 survey posted by Science Direct indicated that the total population of beggars in Nigeria stood at 12.4 million persons as of 2013. The Northwest hosted 41.1%, the Northeast hosted 28.2%, the North Central hosted 12.9%, leaving Southern Nigeria, including the Southwest, the South-South, and the Southeast, with 17.8%. Today, Fatima is enrolled in a school, while her mum runs a petty trade.
Shekara ta 25 a nan Legas. Ina zanne wannan ya ce shi wannan oga ya je ce bara ba kyau. Na ce bara ba kyau oga ya ce iya. Sai na ce ni na barbara na kama sana'a. Sai ya ce ki ban yaranki makaranta. Shine yara na guda biyu na bashi makaranta suke zuwa makaranta. Yawwa. To kin ji mu garinmu muna Bauchi a ƙasar Bauchi muke kuma garinmu jama'are lokal. Jama'are lokal garinmu shekara ta 55. Yawwa. To yanzu dai muna nan muna maleji a nan. Kuma a cikin hakan nan ba mu samu jari ba jari. Ba mu da jari amma muna nan muna maleji.
They are thankful, but together they feel that street begging is wrong.
Bara ba kyau.
Make them find another work. That beg is no good.
Well, unfortunately, their gospel doesn't seem popular for these crop of beggars found on the other end of Lagos Island, Ajah precisely. For these ones, life seems to be about waking up each morning, hoping to get alms from sympathetic passers-by.
A ba mu moni mu tafi arewa. Gwamnati ta ce za ta iya mana, kuma gwamnati ba ta iya mana ba. Mun zo muna fama ga wahala, ga rana, ga yunwa ta ishi.
A cikin yaran mun da babanmu ya yi fani ne babba. Duk wanda suke bayana duk kanana ne ba su san komai ba. No, I know the bed. I know go bed. I know go bed. I will give my daddy. May put me for school.
Jigawa wahala ce ta kawo mu, mijina ne ya mutu. Mijina ne ya mutu. Shi ne ya sa na zo ni. Ba kwan ne ya sa na zo ni ba. Nema na zo ni ci da bakina.
Diba fa kaina.
Ba ta iya Ingilishi ba.
Wa diba kaina. Ba moni yunwa. Shekara ta guda.
Some of these passers-by think that street begging constitutes a nuisance.
We Nigerians are the ones that are still making these guys be on the road.
Okay.
Normally, we should not give them money. We should stop giving them money. You understand? When we are giving them money, then we are supporting it.
Okay.
So when we stop giving them money, they will move.
Since they beg for, let's say, quite some time, and I think they should try and raise up something and delve into one business or the other rather than begging it.
Why do people take to street begging? We spoke to a psychologist.
Begging starts from environments where there's deprivation from basic amenities and where there's poverty. However, once the habit starts, it becomes a disease of the neural system where it becomes self-replicating. Once a person goes on the roadside and asks for alms, and that person's behavior finds expression, the normal way the brain works is that that habit or that behavior now becomes habitual. It's a self-replicating habit, you know. And so several people who tried the first time and they were able to get a few naira from that begging habit, they will be chasing that feeling. There's a feeling that comes from begging and getting someone to give you alms.
In Lagos, the number of child beggars and adult beggars, experts say, runs into over 1,000, as it would be recalled that earlier in 2020, some beggars numbering over 1,000 blocked the entrance to the Lagos State House of Assembly and the governor's office to protest against what they termed undue harassment and arrest by officials of the state government. With three northern states of Kano, Niger and Nasarawa recently banning street begging. The Lagos state government may not have officially banned street begging, but has constantly wasted no time to reiterate its position on the zero tolerance for street begging.
It's illegal. In Lagos, the law does not tolerate it. There is a law that is against street begging, and we are trying to enforce the law. We are actually enforcing the law because anybody who is caught doing street begging in Lagos is going to face prosecution, and if they are kids, they can be taken up the streets and taken to centers. If you are brought before a magistrate for begging, you can be fined up to 30,000 naira, or you can be sent to 1 year imprisonment.
Some schools of thought believe that if people were not given to street begging, there wouldn't be beggars on the streets.
We should give to beggars, but not those who have the capacity to work. If you want to look at it, you need to find what is the definition of a beggar. Is it somebody who is incapacitated, or is it somebody who has just chosen begging as a lifestyle? If it's somebody who has chosen begging as a lifestyle, no. But if it's someone who is incapacitated, if you go to other climes, they have people who are incapacitated, but there's a way they are taken care of. If Nick was in Nigeria, he would have been a street beggar. But today, Nick is far richer than some industrialists in this nation. Why? Because there are nations that have provided some sort of support.
So what does religion say about street begging?
According to the Quran and the Hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we are told that we should earn a living in the most legitimate way. So Islam does not encourage street begging, doesn't encourage begging at all. Yes, Islam encourages zakah and sadaqah, which is given to those people in need, but not to people that are able-bodied, that can actually work and earn a living. So we don't Islam does not encourage begging. Like training is a good place to start. Education, educating them to make them understand that even the Islamic religion, because you see that a lot of these people, they've been brainwashed thinking that it's okay. And even in Nigeria, because even now, we look at the people that are begging on the streets. People literally beg everywhere now, even on social media. You see people going on social media to beg in a way that maybe you call it a sophisticated kind of begging. So I think the first thing is education, to educate those people that it is not acceptable. Even the religion that they practice does not accept it. It's totally unacceptable.
Some people have made a life out of begging. No, that is not scriptural. The Bible said, he that does not work should not eat. But let him, then secondly, let him that steals steal no more, so that he can work, so he can have to give. So we are permitted to give to beggars, provided that, or let me put it this way, we should give to beggars who are incapacitated, not those who have the capacity to work. If you've got the capacity to work, go and work.
The state government considers street begging as unlawful, but what is being done to contain it?
There are centers that they are being taken to anytime they are caught doing that, and they are taken to those centers, and they are being fed there, they are being clothed there, and the government is totally responsible for their upkeep, so that nobody is encouraging a street begging. But anybody who is found taking off the streets 1 or 2, 3 times and is still doing it, the person may go to jail.
Can street beggars be rehabilitated?
I've worked with a particular person who had access to get a job years after begging, but because that has become habitual and that feeling is always, drives home that fulfillment, the person declined the job at the expense of a paying job, because the brain had been wired to get a reward for not doing anything. Yeah, they can be rehabilitated into the society by therapy and coaching. Therapy to help them alter that way of thinking, coaching to help them so that they can charge after the goals in an unstoppable manner. They certainly can be rehabilitated, but it takes work, and it takes the desire of that person to want to stop that habit. No matter how professional the therapist or the coach they're working with is, if they're not determined to leave, it will be difficult for us to ride on that energy and make them break free from that particular habit.
With governments at all levels working towards the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 1, which is ending poverty, we do hope that the number of street beggars in Lagos reduces remarkably.
Hello and welcome to Africa on the Move in partnership with DW. I am Fumi Noajefe. Today, we'll be focusing on how people on the continent are taking care of their environment. In Kenya, someone initiated the plan of trash for cash.
Every Monday, Jeffrey Baluzzi, age 26, combs the beach as part of a cleanup crew from the Watamu Marine Association. Each time, they pick up about 4 big sacks of plastic waste. They're paid the equivalent of €4 a day. That means they earn €16 a month. That's not very much, but they're all happy to do this work.
Yes. So that's what brought me here, in fact.
They bring the trash to a recycling center run by the organization, not far from the beach. Shakushi Lewa helps sort the trash. He lives on the grounds of the recycling center. They separate hard and soft plastic. Part of it is given to local artists and women's associations which make flip-flop sandals or window screens to stop insects from getting into houses. The hard plastic is the organization's cash cow. It brings in the equivalent of €7,000 a year. The recycling center has acquired a new shredder. Soon it will be able to handle plastic not just from all of Watamu, but from another nearby community. Jeffrey thinks they'll be able to shred about 20,000 kilos of hard plastic, more than double their present capacity.
So I can say this project has been so beneficial on me and the project itself, because up to date, the taka we used to hide on the beach are now reduced. On the village, the same.
Thanks to the initiative, around 25 people in Watamu are earning steady money. Shakushu was unemployed for a long time until the project hired him. He lives for free on the grounds of the recycling center. He mixes old paper, water, and wood chips to make briquettes for burning. The business idea earns him the equivalent of €100 a month from garbage. When the people from the community collect those plastics and bring them here, they get money for the plastic. Jeffrey says the biggest challenge is to make clear to the community that recycling plastic is much more than just a short-term money-making project.
The challenge we do have is that, because people say, okay, I can join with you working there, but what are you going to give me? You know? So you have to pay him. Instead of volunteering, they don't volunteer. And they do have to volunteer, because this is their country. The environment belongs to them too.
The Watamu environmental activists want to do more to educate the community. Jeffrey wants to make people understand that recycling garbage is meaningful. It looks like he's already come a long way.
If you ask me, I think they should legislate that all bottling companies should recycle all their PET bottles. Recycling could create a revolution. Still in Kenya, a former banker recycles plastics and create new products which will reduce the cutting of trees and in the end, save the forest.
Nicholas Wambua is busy marking the borders of his farm outside Nairobi. Usually farmers here use wooden posts for their fences, but Nicholas has bought a new product.
compared to the normal poles, the lifespan of this one is longer than the normal poles, so I prefer this one. It is reducing the destruction of forest, because now you find we are lessening the cutting of the trees in our country. So I am for it, because our ecosystem is being controlled.
On the outskirts of Nairobi, the posts are produced by a new, innovative company. EcoPost is the brainchild of Lorna Ruto, a former banker. She came up with an ingenious way of getting rid of the city's plastic waste by making eco-friendly posts from recycled plastic.
All this plastic waste has been collected from various dump sites, some streets, and even homes, people's homes. So we bring them here. This is the first step. They are flooded from the truck. Then we store them until we get a good quantity, mix it with the plastic, and we make very good aesthetic and quality posts that can be used even for now building. And it's an alternative to timber, so by so doing we're able to save a lot of trees, and we hope to save the 2% forest cover that is remaining in Kenya.
Kenya has a massive problem with deforestation. Much of the wood is used as building material. EcoPost offers not only an alternative, it also removes plastic waste, which helps limit toxic pollution. Something Karanya Nyoroche strongly endorses.
The society is part of the problem. A problem in the sense that they are the source of that waste, and they should actually be responsible on how to dispose of it. If there is a market, and that market generates 2-3 tons every day of waste plastic, then the market should have regulatory guidelines on how to recycle whatever they generate. Then we'll end up with less plastic strewn on the streets or in the landfills.
Every year, Kenya's plastic waste grows almost tenfold. Lorna Ruto has shown that it's also a resource which can generate huge profits. EcoPost has already created almost 40 full-time positions and hundreds of casual jobs.
So it is not only in Kenya that people are making money from waste. In Gabon, one man is separating and recycling waste.
They have become an established team. Several times a week, men from global services come over to the market in Labarene, Gabon, and sort the enormous amount of waste. Organic waste goes into the pink bags and plastic in the blue. This is all done under the watchful eye of CEO Firmin Makaya.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
It's also equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 when they pay.
A 20-meter cliff, a couple of ropes, freezing cold water, and me trying to cope with all of that. I did make it down in the end, but this outing with a couple of guys really had me testing my limits. And that's precisely our topic this week on Made, leaving the comfort zone. I'm Chris Kober, welcome. We don't want to be bogged down with details, do we? It is the result that counts. Well, sometimes it's the details that unveil an inconvenient truth. Take meat production. We know that for us to be able to slap that steak on our grill, an animal needs to die. Often enough in anything but a gentle or respectful way. Our reporter, Kai Steinecke, an avid meat lover, decided he wants to leave his comfort zone and does want to know how the sausage gets made, literally. A word of warning, the report contains scenes some viewers may find disturbing.